Hi, this is Fernando. In our previous video, we talked about the reflection layer. In this video, we are going to talk about refraction layer. So let me show you what we have in my material. I have this material that is the one that I'm going to use to demonstrate the refractions. And I have blue color in my diffuse layer and reflection options, a Fresnel's effect in my reflections. So when I click preview, this is what we have. My intention is to explain the refraction options. So in order to add the refraction options to create glass or translucency material, we have to right click on the material, create layer, and add a refraction layer. As you can see, we have a refraction layer right now, but when I click preview in my material, we're still having the same bluish or glossy material. The reason is because my diffuse layer is blocking my refraction layer. So we need to make this layer transparency or delete the layer or do something in order to see my refraction layer. There are three ways in order to solve this issue. The one is just going to the diffuse layer and right click on it and remove the layer. The problem with this one is that if you want to create bump map or if you want to add some more information, create like a displacement, you need UV mapping, and the only way to create UV mapping is through the diffuse layer. So this is not a good idea to delete the diffuse layer. The second option is just going to the transparency color and change the color to white. This is one good option, but the problem is that by doing that, we hide or we made invisible my geometry in the viewport. So if you want to manipulate, orbit, or make some changes to your geometry, it's not a good idea to have transparency or invisible geometry. In order to avoid the invisible geometry, I'm going to change back the color to black, and in my texture mapping for the transparency, I'm going to click there, and I'm going to use a procedural mapping called a color. This a color allows you to select a color for the transparency options. I'm going to select white, and in this way I can have the translucency options or refractions options, and still having my color or my geometry in my viewport. Okay, for now we are going to use that options. If we want to tint or to change the color of the glass, by default we have a clear glass. If we have to change the color of the glass, we could do that in two different ways. Okay, in the reflection layer, we said that the reflection options or the reflection color control the amount of the reflections. Here, the refraction color doesn't control the amount of refractions. This guy controls the color of the refraction. So if I change the color of the refractions to kind of blue, right, I'm gonna have a blue material. So let me create a preview, a render, to see how my material looks. Here you go, this is my render. Let me move this window to the middle in order that you can see the options. As you can see in the render, I still having the same appearance of my preview, but the problem with these options is that my material, the color of my material is even everywhere. In real life, the tinted glass have a variation in color depending of the thickness. The thicker part appear to be darker than the thinner part. So this option here, or changing the color to the refraction color, is not going to help me to create a very realistic glass. So I will change back the refraction color to white, and I'm going to use another options to tint the refractions. In the reflection layer, we use the filter to tint the reflections. Here in the refraction, we have an option called fog color and color multiplier. Those options here, the fog color and the color multiplier control the behavior of the color in my scene. So I recommend you to use a very low saturated color. So try to not use a high saturation in the color here. Try to use like a lighter version of your desired material, and then you can control the amount of the color or the darkness of the color to the color multiplier. So I'm gonna change the color multiplier to 1. I'm gonna make a preview here. Usually the preview appear to be darker. The reason is because the scene or the sphere that we are using in the preview material have a diameter of 30. So if the geometry is bigger, we are going to have a darker color. If you want to see the real appearance of your scene, try to use 0.03 in your font color, but this is only to see the preview, how it's going to look your material. If your material have a 1, so change back to color multiplier to 1, and this is how the material is going to look if you have a 1 diameter sphere and 1 color multiplier and the color. So as you see here, the color of the sphere should be the same color that you have. Again, when you have a color multiplier to 1 and the sphere that you are using have a 1 unit of diameter. Okay, I'm gonna click render to see what we have right now. Okay, this is what we have. In order to show you the better these options, I need to increase to use a darker color here. So let me use a darker color. Okay, like this one. In order to see my final result. Very good. So I'm gonna make another preview here, and I'm gonna make a new render. Here we go. This is the final render. As you see here, by using the fog color, I have a different variation. I have a variation in the depending of the thickness. The thicker part is darker than the thinner part, and this is how it looks the glass material, the tinted glass material in the real light. So let me explain what I'm talking about, the different thickness by using these 3 spheres. So I have those 3 spheres with the center sphere have 1 inches, the left have 0.5, the right one have 2 inches. I'm gonna make a render, see what we have. I'm using the same material that the previous one. Here we go. This is the final result. As you can see here, the smaller sphere is lighter than the bigger one. If I want to increase the darkness of the material, I can increase this value, the color multiplier. If I increase the color multiplier, I am making darker the color. If I reduce the color multiplier, I am making lighter. So now I increase the color multiplier to 3, so I should have darker color in my sphere. Here we go. In general, my sphere are darker than the previous render. It's very hard to see because I do not change the font multiplier too much. But again, increase this value, you are making the darker material. So let me explain another options with this scene here, and is the glossiness. So as in the reflections, if you want to add some blurriness to your scene, to your material, you should change the glossiness. Here in the refraction, if you want to create a acid glass, you can add glossiness to your material. Remember, the glossiness here in the refraction is the glossiness inside the material or inside the refractions, and the glossiness here is outside the material, so it's going to be on the reflections. So I have this option here, this material here. where I reduce the glossiness to 0.75. Also, the subdivision here control the amount or the quality, sorry, the quality of the glossiness. So let me create a render to see what we have. Here we go, this is a render. Okay, I want to share with you some details that I see here. One is the physical property of the glossiness material is that the object closer to the glossiness material appear to be more clear than the object further away from the glossiness material. As you can see, the Y is more clear than the SketchUp word that is here. Let me show you what we have in the scene. So I have this scene here where the SketchUp word is further away from the glass, and the white is very close to the glass. So that's why you see here the white more clear than the other word. So again, you can see the acid option here in my glass. This is because I changed the glossiness value. In overview, the color of the refractions control the color of the material, but the thickness is the color is going to be even in all the material. The font color here and the color multiplier control the color of my material as well, but in this way these options are more physical accurately than the color of refractions. The iron value control how much the rays get bended inside the material, and you can find a list of iron value in the internet. So for example, if you want to create a diamond, the index of refractions for diamond is 2.47 something. So that means that you are going to have more ray bending inside the material, so you are going to have more refractivity. So the affect shadows, this guy is very important. If you have a glass in a windows and you have the sun that is hitting the windows and the sun is trying to get inside the room, if you have the affect shadows disabled, you are not going to see the sun coming through the windows. So by default we have the affect shadow, but some old material doesn't have this option enabled by default. In this occasion you could not see the sun coming into the room. The affect alpha is for post-processing, so you can change the background in the glass in Photoshop if these options is enabled. So I think this is all that I have for you today. See you next time. Bye bye.